At present, the technology development greatly increased globalization of the world, and in general a close connect among the company and the nationality. International education has become a common phenomenon, which is regarded as a general acceptance for the world. As for Australia, international education is play a role in economy and become an indispensable part for the society. According to the report from Australia Bureau of Statistics, the value of international education has reached 19.7 billion in 2014 to 2015, which is the third largest export earned for Australia. The number of international students in Australia has reached 49,003,618 in July 2016, and it has shown 11% increase compared with 2015. Department of Education and Training 2016. The international education in Australia can be divided into four paragraphs: higher education, VT, and economic and no-world school. The main object of this report is to describe the role of Australia in international higher education and briefly introduce some advances for attract international students. In this report, it will be introduce some international higher education mark in global and circle states in Australia. Then the main advice of study in Australia will be provided and compared with other countries in some detail. Meanwhile, it will offer recent place and reveal the prospect of Australia's international higher education. International higher education, global market. UT State and UT Kingdom have dominate the market of international education in long term. However, in America, the number of international students becomes slow growth, and the global market share has a slight decline in recent years. It provides this large proportion of the market share are picked up by United Kingdom, Australia, and New Zealand. The role of Australia as a main player in international education industry. There are 2,002 courses, 22,000 courses, which are provided by 1,100 institutes in Australia. In terms of higher education system, there are 117 registered higher education providers, who include 37 public universities, 37 public universities, 3 private university, 1 private university of specialization, 2 overseas university, 100 non-university higher education providers. In recent years, the international student recruitment of Australian university continued to develop rapidly. The higher education is the main part of the international education, which includes bachelor, master, and doctor degree program, has the large quantity of student enrollment. Choose Australia as a certification international education provider. Some key competitive advantage will be listed at below.
In this chapter, we would like to show you the main advantages of Australian international higher education, which are quality of education, desirable environment, and government policy. Quality of Australia International Higher Education. According to QS World University Rankings and the Times Higher Education World University Rankings, there are 7 universities in top 100 and considerable amount of numbers in the top 500. The courses in Australia University have covered most of study area, such as natural sciences and mathematics, life and agriculture sciences, business, and medicine and pharmacy. Australian has invented and created considerable well-known discoveries and innovations which are common use in global, such as penicillin, Wi-Fi, black box. Australian curriculum has high flexibility to meet students' requirements. The courses can be provided to students with several options, such as full-time, part-time, and other mixed mode. Meanwhile, many institutions will offer foundation studies, which are often preparatory courses for students. For example, English Bridging courses is a typical foundation course which aims to preparing students for higher education study. Desirable framework. Initially, Australia has released relevant laws to provide high-quality education and protection for international students in higher education. Australian government published the Education Services for Overseas Students Act 2000, and the National Code of Practice, Group of 8, indicates the interests of international students are protected by ISOS. Also, Australian government set a standard named Commonwealth Register of Institutions and Courses for Overseas Students to guarantee the course and the institution which are high standard. The international student must choose a course within a registered institution which is contained. Further, Australia established a governmental agency to regulate the higher education, which is named Tertiary Education Quality and Standards Agency, TEQSA. It developed norms and rules to monitor quality and regulate the behavior of higher education providers from university and non-university. It is also responsible to assess the performance of higher education providers, which are required to be registered in TEQSA. Meanwhile, a national policy, Australian Qualification Framework, is established for regulate Australian education and training qualifications in 1995. The framework provides the specific standards of learning outcomes, pathways, assessment, and supports the system of qualification in Australia, which encompasses higher education, vets, and school. It organizes a clear structure of levels and qualification connected with each learning outcome. It provides a flexible, transparent, and systematic learning system to facilitate the study and enable students to get formal qualification consistently.
3.2 Desirable environment. 3.2.1 Comfortable environment. Australia is commonly regarded as one of the best places to live in the world. Students who is studying in Australia will enjoy a high living standard in social life. The Economist appraises and elects the world's livable cities, and Australia has 3 cities in the top 10 list. Meanwhile, Australia is a typical country composed by immigrations, which result in culture society with multiple language using. Thus, Australia shows an inclusive attitude to welcome international students and enable international students to experience global culture. The issue of discrimination has specific laws to protect, which are rarely happened in Australia, and the society is friendly for international students. Students have considerable choice of activities such as open house, Melbourne, and Coloran. Meanwhile, Australia is a location to hold famous world-class tournaments such as Australian Open in tennis, since most of international students come from developing countries. Australia offers them in wide space to experience their body and a describable nature environment to relax. By constructing China and India, which are main source of international students, the understandable air pollution results in considerable issues in human body and bad mood, which will never happen in Australia. Thus, it helps students to broaden their view and enrich their life from sports events and cultural festivals. In addition, Australia concentrates on public security and it has considerable achievement in ethnic communication and ethnic fusion. Thus, it has built a stable and peaceful society environment which is suitable to study. It should be noticed that Australia has really strict laws and policies to control the guns and arms. Thus, it builds a safety environment for study and living compared with America. In recent years, Europe has suffered considerable issues such as terrorist attacks in Bastille Day on Nice and the Syrian refugees issue. The public security is continuous deteriorating in Europe, but Australia remains safety by geographical issue and considerable security. 3.2.2 Proximity. The key markets of international higher education are China, India, and other emerging nations of Southeast Asia. In geography, Australia is adjacent to these areas, which has a closer time zone that students are convenienced to come in and make connection with families. Meanwhile, in recent years, Australia is increasingly build relations with those countries through trading and cultural exchange, especially from China. The demands of bilingual experts is increasing in global. That's the international students in Australia will have more competitive advantage of
So I will talk about three parts: government policy, prospects, and conclusion. The first is government policy. University of Oxford indicates that government strategies have great effects on international experience for students. As a major export industry, as Australian government strongly supports the development of international higher education and continuously reforms the framework to make the students convenience. On the 16th of July, at the 12:15, Development of Immigration and Border Protection released the future directions for streamlined visa processing support and introduced a new simplified student visa framework, which is SSVF, to improve Australians' international education service. It reduces the numbers of student visa subclasses from 8 to 2 and simplified the visa application process. The next is prospects. On 30 April 2016, National Strategy for International Education to 2025 is released by Australian government, which established a plan for developing Australia's role in education, training, and research area in long term. In order to support it, Australian government has committed 12 million over 4 years to support this implementation. Eventually, these measures will strengthen the competitive in attracting international students and sustainability, increase the international education market share in global. So it's turn to the last part, the conclusion. This report is mainly focused on the role of Australia in international higher education. It provides the advantages when studying in Australia, which include quality of education and a desirable environment. The quality of education indicates that Australia higher education has higher reputation and quality in reputation, and a mature learning framework in education system. Then the environment issues concentrate on the experience in normal life, which contains comfortable environment and geographic proximity. In addition, it describes the support from government, which concerns about visa issues, and the government provides the opportunity to work in Australia. At the last, the new policy was published, which guides the future direction on international higher education, and Australia will attract more international students to study in the future. Thank you.